In this quick session here, we will cover a book framework set up in Logseq DB. So this will be about setting up a book framework that mimics what we see on Logseq website. So if you've ever tried this in Logseq Markdown version, you would know that it's a little harder to do, but in Logseq DB it's a lot simpler now. So the goal is to have a book framework where we can track books and authors and reading status and mimic this layout. So back in 2021 I've attempted to set up a book framework, and that's the setup I have in my Markdown version of Logseq. And I published an article on this in the forum, which you can see here. So I'll publish a new version of this article based on Logseq DB setup. So in that article, let me actually scroll down. So there is this image describing how the setup is made, or was made, but we're mostly using a template in that case to set up both the content of the book page and also the different properties, keys, and then I would manually set the values on and on. So it's good for what it is, but probably not ideal because there is a lot of manual work involved. And as far as surfacing the details about books and reading status, we relied on queries to do so. So this is how it looked when we scroll down. I've had some screenshots here, kind of showcasing how the whole thing is set up. So our goal here is to essentially have a similar setup in Logseq DB. So we'll be setting up tags and properties. We'll leverage on basically tags, properties, and template. And the views will show the views using the tag table view, and the reading status will be shown, being able to capture book notes, and then being able to rate and manage quotes, for example, related to books. So the goal one of the goals is to try to make this video a bit shorter. So that means I'll take some shortcuts, meaning I have some of the setup already in place, so don't necessarily want to repeat everything. So with that said, in this graph that we're looking at here, if I look for a book, we'll see that we have a book tag already in here. Actually, I renamed it, so it's no longer book, but it's more about bookshelf. So we have a bookshelf, and which we can rename. But what do we have in there, right? So as a very basic starting point, we have author. So what is author? If you watch one of my previous videos, you'll notice that I've covered how to set up properties of type node, but that's what we have here. So author here is a property, and it has a type node, and that node is of a type will only allow authors to be selected. So if I were to click on that, we see we can change that, but we don't want to do that here, right? So status, we have 3 statuses here. We can add more if we wanted to. For example, I could add archive if I want to. So that's how we do that. And so it may be also good to add a default. So let's say anytime we add a new book to our book framework, the status will be set to read, because that seems like a sensible default to choose. And if you're wondering about these icons, you can change them essentially here. So the interest of time, I'll probably say box. So I don't know, we can pick whatever, doesn't matter. So, and rating, here I'm using numbers for rating. So we could be switching this and use emojis like the star emojis. So that's what I had in the book framework back in 2021. But I'm planning to use numbers this time around so that we can do some calculations down the road, and also style these numbers with CSS. Basically, one will translate to 1 star, and then have the flexibility to leverage your numbers to do some computations down the road. So something I want to experiment with. So, but this is a quick starting point, right? As we can see, it's pretty similar to what we have on Logseq website. So simple as that. Okay, now let's go back to the bookshelf for a second here. So assuming we're reading and we need to change our status, we will simply look at the bookshelf tag, and then we can change the reading status as needed. So, and as far as authors go, just like in the last video I published about building a simple CRM, an author is a person, and I'll prefer starting small, right? So you see there is no property set on this author right here. So if I were to click on this author tag and we look, we see we have not added any. So if we wanted to, we can add more properties, for example. So we could add a URL that will take us to, let's say, the author's personal blog or page, whatever, right? So we can build from there. But always start small. Don't think it's not worth pre-populating, basically adding a bunch of properties and ending up with a lot of fields that can be overwhelming, but that you may not fill up over time. So yeah, with that said, we go back, and this setup is the starting point, and I have a fully fledged one here, and I will walk you through it. So same bookshelf here, and as you can see, that's the same. It's a tag, and we have a couple of other tags that may be good to see. So we have, let's look at these. So these are the different tags we are using in this case. We added a book quote, which is a tag. So, and this book quote has a category which takes values from book tag. So that's the second tag. So that's the third tag, sorry. So we have bookshelf, and then we have a book quote, and we have book tag. So book tag is just some grouping, some categories like product development, success, productivity, fiction, non-fiction, self-help, that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's these are what I'm calling book tags. So book quotes, and then if I were to go back, we have book tag, as you can see here, like I've mentioned. So now in my previous video I mentioned that I like to keep all my custom tags under a parent tag. So if we were to go back a little bit here, let me go back to tags, and I'll look for DC. Actually, hold on, that's not good. Yeah, so I usually keep my tags under a parent tag, and as you can see here, so I have some kind of structure. So there is no property assigned to framework, for example. There is no property assigned to book framework, but under book framework, I'm keeping the tags related to to setting up this framework. So again, I'm experimenting some cleaner way of managing a little bit here. So maybe ask me 2-3 months down the road how well this is working out. I should be able to say, but for now, so far, I think it's okay. All right. So now, with that said, let's go back to the bookshelf. So, and if we look, I'm actually going to change this to book now. Why not? Just to show we can pick whatever name suits us. So what we have now, we have a cover. So the cover is of type URL, and that which basically allows us to link to the cover letter page. I usually find Goodreads website to be a good source for these book covers. So we add author, we talked about that. Year, rating, we talked about them. Page mark, that's like a bookmark. So when, where are we, how far did we read? We put the page number for paperback type of books. I like having, I often read books recommended by folks, so it'd be good to know who recommended a book. That's why this is here. And with that said, actually, yeah, so you can see the recommendation comes from a person. And format of a book, ebook, audiobook, paperback, backs, and start time and end time, so you know when you started reading a book and when you finished it. Favorite is there. It's just to say what book is my favorite. Yeah, we can rate books. Yes, that's one thing, but why not capture also which ones are our favorite? So it's just a checkbox to make it simple. So now with that, I'm going to collapse this, and we can see our books here. So I set this new view as new, and we are capturing status, books with status to read. So these are new items added, and they have been read yet. They have not been read yet, sorry, and populated a bunch of stuff. And I mean, in practice, yeah, these books, I'll set favorite only when I'm done reading them, right? So, but anyway, so these values here are for demo purpose only, so they're all populated just so we could test. And currently reading, we're filtering by the reading status, as we can see here, and what we finished reading. So we have the different views that allow us to look quickly, access the different categorizations. And category here is only sorting by category, so we could add some additional filters if we wanted to. Okay, now, so that's as simple as that as it gets. Sorry, and let's click on templates. So template is to allow us to populate the book page, so we can, as we're reading or after we're done reading, we probably want to capture some details about the book. So this is a template I've added, and anytime I set the book tag on a node or a page of a given book, this template will apply to it. And if it's not there, because, and I'll show you an example, you can always use a slash command and then apply the template and go from there. So, but there's a summary section, key ideas, highlights and note and quotes, resonance and reflection, and application. So I'm using a subscript here, so to make the text a bit smaller, to provide a bit of guidance about what to do around this section. I think sometimes it helps, because tend to forget, oh, well, how do I want to deal with this section? So to make it a bit more consistent, this is like a quick description of what to do. So now that we have that part taken care of, let's go back to the book, on book here, okay, and we will look at, let's say, this book, so Just Enough Research. So when we click on that, you'll see the details about the book, and you see that the template has been applied here already. So how do we use the book quote? So in this section, relevant quotes that matter, that I feel important to capture, and I've just picked up some random here just for demo sake. So you add those, and then you set a tag, book quote, to it, and then these properties will show, and you can set those property values. So if I wanted to change this to, let's say, non-fiction, so this is a, a property value that does not exist today, we can add it. So simple, right? So, and the author, add that here. So I wish Logseq had a way to, how can I say this, to do some self-referencing. As you can see here, I am having to manually set the author here. It would be nice if we could say, I'm in the context because this is a child node of this book node. It'd be nice if I could recursively pick the author from here. So something like, I don't know, dot self and then author, and then he picks it up, so don't have to manually set it. But in any case, this is faster than what we had in Markdown version, so yeah, let's see what will come next. But another quote set here, and so with that, these quotes being set here, and you can even set them anywhere else, right? So someone may share a quote about this book from the internet that you run into and feel like, okay, well, maybe I missed that, but you bring it in, you add it to the journal, you can come and add it here, it doesn't matter. But if you set these correctly, they'll all be picked up, and set the tag, they will all be picked up. So if you were to come here and look for book quotes, you'll see quotes that you have in your graph, in your graph, and the related book. And yeah, if you want to capture page numbers for paperbacks book, yeah, you can. Okay, so that is kind of what I'm working with. Now, you may notice something a little odd here. This book in question is showing under book right here, right? I'll show you another example that will look slightly different. So let's look at getting things done. You notice that getting things done is higher up, and it does not show book right above it. That's because this one, I created this as a page in the graph. Meanwhile, the other ones, I've added them as nodes. So that's a subtle difference. There are pros and cons to this. So if I were to click here and scroll up to the bottom, what we see our quotes as linked references here, right? But if we were to switch to, let's go back to getting things done here, you'll notice that right off the bat we have linked references as well, right? So in any case, you can set pages. My preference is usually to go with pages here, and the reason why I go with pages is current graph view operates in the context of pages for the most part. You can see clearly getting things done here, and if you look for the other books, you won't find them. That's one of the reasons to probably go with the page first approach here. So all right, so now let's move on to the next part. So this is good for inserting books and setting ratings and so on. So this is the editing part. You can navigate between the different views, and and then the last part is we can create a kind of a dashboard. So the dashboard, I'm calling it a resonance book, which is just a page that's been created, and on that page I added a backlink to book tag, so we can quickly access book tag. Why not? And another one for book quote, easy access. And here I've added a query, a book quote to remember. So this book quote right here is picking up all quotes though. So in essence, this is the same as linking from here. But one thing we can quickly do is I want to say, okay, give me a random one. So anytime I access this page, it will randomly pick one of them and show in front of you. Is it cool? Maybe. Sure. Let's have it. Next, let's look at categories. So here I'm calling categories as book. We're looking at the book tag because that's what we call in categories. And I changed the view here to gallery view. So this gallery view I think needs to improve. The devs have already said they will be improving it. But right now it's using a ton of space, but it is what it is. So we can see the different categories here. One thing I hope we had here is being able to click on it and then go somewhere, but it won't do any of that. So yeah, so it's an overview of the different categories we have at the moment. So here we have currently reading. So this one, okay, something happened to my query here. So I'm gonna do that, change it, and still want to do book here. So, oh, all right, didn't quite like it, but anyway. In interest of time, I think the renaming I did probably broke something here, but this is reading. I think query still works with just that because I'm only using this status property for book. So let me remove this. Okay, so now we see here we have books that I'm reading here, and then books I have not read yet. They're listed here, and books that I've finished reading. The red, and favorites here. These are books that I have set as favorite basically by checking the checkbox here. So this would be the main hub for visualizing, getting some kind of overview of everything happening with books within my graph. So yeah, so this is in a nutshell the entire setup, and it looks pretty similar to what's on the Logseq website and the framework that I built back in 2021. And if you're wondering how long it takes to do this entire setup, I'll probably say an hour, less than an hour to set everything up. But since I wanted this video to be a little shorter, I did some of the clicking. And if you want to know how to set the whole thing up and want me to go through it, happy to do it. Just let me know. All right. Happy Logseq. See you in the next video.